Hey guys, and welcome to Talking with Shadows, the conversation everyone has, but no one wants to admit to. Here with your host, Vic Whately.
And Marcus D. And welcome back to the podcast, guys. We are super happy to be having you join us today. We have a great episode today.
But first, guys, I think we have a medical mystery here. Marcus was pointing something out to me that happened to us back in January. And, Marcus, what happened to us back in January?
Well, both of us back in January got kind of sick, and both of us were out of work for actually several days.
Yeah, and we were sick with fever, coughs, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headaches, sore throat, and loss of taste and smell. And what does that sound a lot like?
A lot like the symptoms of the coronavirus there, Vic.
Yeah, and Marcus was actually so sick he had to be hospitalized.
Yeah, it was like I woke up hurting so bad. Like I couldn't even lay down with how bad the pain in my lower chest was.
Yeah, I really think that we might have had the coronavirus back in January. And think about that for a sec.
Yeah, it was just so crazy. Because a lot of the stuff that's happened here in the U.S. within the last 3 months is the number of cases are skyrocketing. But at the same time, the reason for that is because that's kind of when tests started coming out, and that's when people were going out and getting tested. So of course that's when they're gonna start skyrocketing, as we're gonna having more people tested.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, we work in a hospital, so it kind of makes sense that we'd be
sick.
Yeah, infected with it early on and stuff.
Yeah, and several of our coworkers were sick too. Numerous people were calling around this time, so it's crazy when we think about what's happened to us in the last couple months.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if just some people with it ended up in Evansville early on.
And both of my parents had the same thing. They had been back from California a little bit back in December. They came back from them, and they were sicker than a dog. More sick than they'd really had almost ever been in their lives.
Yeah, this came up because me and Marcus were talking, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, and he's like, well, truthfully, I think I already had corona, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And he's like, remember back in January when we were sick? Think about it. I'm like, holy crud, we might have already had it.
The slowest horse finishes the race.
And I wasn't really thinking about it. When I get sick, I get over it, and I forget about it.
That happens so much though whenever I say things and you just write them off, and then weeks and weeks later it'll be like, oh my God, you were right.
Well, you keep telling me you've told me this before, and I don't think you have.
Don't get me wrong. I know that I can be I'm extra sprinkles on a sundae.
That is an underestimate. He is so dramatic over everything that happens.
I am. So you write stuff off all the time.
The few of you guys who've actually met Marcus, they can vouch. Yeah. He can be very dramatic.
Oh man, I'm happy we're doing better now, and things are getting a lot better, and hopefully things are going to be easing up a little bit. Because Indiana, we're still down the lockdown. They're supposed to be announcing soon whether or not if we're actually going to be able to leave our houses soon. So hopefully that's going to allow me and Vic to actually be out and go out and do some actual in the field investigations, which we have not been able to do in some months.
Oh yeah, I am itching for getting out there and doing a real paranormal investigation.
Because it's so much fun talking to you guys about all of these various topics that we talk about, but it's so much more fun and so much better, I think, when we're talking about things that we've actually experienced.
Yeah, and I don't want to be an armchair paranormal investigator.
I don't either. I want to get out there in the field and do stuff. Now I know some of you are saying, but Marcus, you never want to go out and do anything, and
that's kind of true.
That's kind of true for some things.
They might have a point.
There are some things that don't bother me and stuff like that. But no, going out 30 miles out deep into the woods, kind of hesitant about that.
I'm just questioning your commitment to the cause.
No. There's certain things. I'm all for going to a haunted house. I'm all for going to a cemetery. That's fine.
Hey, our friend Ricky from the channel, he actually has a lead on a haunted church that he can get us into.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
Oh yeah. I am itching for this.
So we'll keep you guys up to date.
I might break quarantine and go this weekend.
Oh, we're gonna get caught.
Oh, we'll be fine.
Oh man, but yeah. Okay, so big stuff in the paranormal news that's just come out. I'm
Just
sure
come out ish.
I know it's been a few days. I didn't want to again. I wanted to make sure that we got to talk about it on the podcast too. I mean, I think we're talking about this like 3 or 4 days after the news broke on this. But like the U.S. government confirmed these 3 UFO videos that they put out, saying that these are actually like legit UFOs.
Yeah, but like, weren't most of these videos already out for a while?
I love that. Was so funny about that. People were like, "Oh, the government's confirming UFOs," or "The governments are saying that these are 3 UFOs." I'm like, these videos were out for a while, like already. Like the UFO community was like, "Yeah, man, we know." Like,
yeah, that's why I said this is kind of like news-ish. It's like,
Yeah.
this is old news, man. You don't need to tell us these ones are real. We figured that out quite some time ago.
Now this is mainstream news. This has hit the mainstream. I think a lot of people are now coming around to realizing about these videos, but that were pretty cool. Because like there's if you guys haven't seen them, we're gonna put these up on our social media so that you guys can actually see these and watch them. They're about like a minute and a half each, and they're pretty good UFO for videos as far as UFO goes.
Oh yeah, and if you guys aren't on there already, check us out on One Candle Society on Facebook.
Yeah,
we
Twitter, we
posted
put
a
them
lot
all
of
up.
stuff on there.
And we're gonna put these up. But yeah, like these videos were from I think the first video was from 2004, got leaked in 2007. The other 2 videos were from 2015, and I think they got released. I think they got leaked in 2017. Fun fact: what I did not know was that one of the videos, I think it's the 3rd video that the government put out or was talking about, actually was released by a company called To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science, which was founded by Blink-182 guitarist Tom DeLonge.
Okay, I am
DeLonge, sorry.
I am not even kidding about this. Growing up, I was a huge Blink-182 fan. Yeah, I was that kid.
He was that kid.
Yeah, I really was. And I never learned the name of the members of the band. At the same time, nowadays, I do a lot of UFO research, and I've heard the name Tom DeLonge tons and tons of times. I did not realize today that Tom DeLonge was in Blink-182.
I think you're the only person that didn't know that he was in Blink-182.
Now I get to be like, oh, hey, he does good work in the field of ufology, and I love his music.
Oh, no, this just makes him just that much better of a guy. Like, you know.
Like, his name was purely associated with UFOs to me.
Oh man! Oh god! And you know the one thing that I found so funny about these coming out was what was what the government said, that they said that they wanted to, that they were releasing this footage, and they were talking, and they were and that they were declassifying these videos because what they wanted to do was they wanted to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage was real. Like, I just find it funny. The government's like, you know, we didn't want anybody to get worried about it. You know, we sat around and we kind of realized that like nothing in this was showing any state secrets, and we didn't want people to think that these were fake.
Some of these things have been out there for freaking ever. It took you this long?
Like I find it funny. It's like it literally took the government 16 years to sit around and determine that one of the video footages didn't have any classified information in it.
So they're like, oh, you know that video you saw on YouTube 16 years ago? We just wanted to make sure you knew. Yeah, it's real. It's real.
Yeah,
we were worried that you were still concerned about this.
Yeah. We watched this minute and a half clip, and yeah. There's nothing in. We finally determined it's safe to let the public know.
I mean, they're pretty cool videos. Like, I really like the one where like the UFO starts to rotate in these really weird angles.
Yeah, the ones the 2 from like I think it was 2015 are way cooler because they have like audio on them. And one of the guys is like talking about like which was really weird. No, I don't know if anybody's picking this up, but one of the guys actually says he goes, "There's a fleet of these."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's only seen in the video that there's one. But he's saying that there's a fleet of these things.
Well, probably the camera's only trained on when he's seen the full perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it also makes you kind of wonder too about they've declassified these parts of the clips. What else are they not showing?
Oh, they probably have I'm sure they have tons and tons and tons of stuff that they're not going.
Oh,
to
I'm 100% sure on that. Like I'm sure that they probably have more than a minute and a half of the footage or whatever of this thing.
My thoughts are along these lines. You know what, guys? Props. I'll give you props for coming forward with something. Now give us the rest. I want the rest.
We know there's more.
You let us sniff the steak. Now let us eat it.
I want the Zack Snyder cut of the UFO footage, the extended edition. That's what we want.
the extended Lord of the Rings edition.
Yeah.
I want 40 hours, which I'm pretty sure is how long the extended cut of the
40
Lord
hours
of the Rings trilogy is.
40 hours of like general commentary, like, you know, with like deleted scenes. Okay. And the video game that's on there, that's on the disc too. We want that stuff.
Okay, guys. Black bag tip of the day. Jump in the water. Because I've never heard of someone getting black bagged underwater. I want you guys to test to see if it's true. And also, I don't think Men in Black can swim. Have you ever heard of one aquatic Men in Black encounter?
I can't think of any either. I think that's probably the safest place to be.
Yep. There you go. Okay, are we ready to jump into our topic for today?
We are. Because speaking of like underwater stuff that you were talking about, we got a really cool like underwater phenomenon object to talk about today. So I thought we could talk about the Baltic Sea Anomaly.
The Baltic Sea Anomaly.
The Baltic Sea Anomaly.
Just like you're trying to turn it into two words. Baltic.
I was trying to create dramatic effect. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I'm sure most of you guys have heard about this one. The underwater UFO in the Baltic Sea, the Millennium Falcon, all that sort of stuff.
Yes. And it was cool. So it was weird. So I'm coming, it actually came to me in an idea to do this because I had known about this for a while. Me and Vic had talked about the Baltic Sea Anomaly for a while. And it came up while we were researching a lot of different cities and places for our last two episodes of our podcast. I lost my Xbox controller, and it accidentally I was watching YouTube videos. They were on a loop, and a new video pops up, and it wasn't about any of those. So I'm like trying to find the controller to move on, but I can't.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
you didn't tell me about this.
Yeah, I know. And I can't find my controller, so I'm like, I guess I'm watching this. And it was talking about the Baltic Sea Anomaly, and I'm like, oh crap, I remember about this. This is a cool thing. We should do a video on this. Like, we should do an episode on this. And so like I pitched it to Vic, and then you're like, oh, I'll pitch it to you, and you're like, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so for those of you that have never heard it before, I'm gonna give you guys a brief history of it. So there's this company called Ocean X, and what they do is they are like essentially underwater explorers. Okay, they're the SpaceX of the ocean.
They're underwater treasure hunters.
Yeah, without inventing stuff. Hey, come on. They do some cool stuff. Okay.
They do the part of piratery where they're just treasure hunting, not the part where they're robbing people.
And as they're doing this, they're taking photographs of anything underwater that they come across.
Yeah, they actually discover a lot of really cool stuff.
Yes, they do. So what happens is there's a team of theirs that's out in the Baltic Sea, and they're out searching for buried treasure and sunken treasure because the Baltic Sea is a massive shipwreck, just pond full, massive water source full of shipwrecks. I know I'm saying that terribly.
There's no sand down there. It's just nonstop galleons all lined up. There's pirate treasure chests strewn open all over the place.
They estimate there's almost 100,000 shipwrecks that are down there at the bottom of the Baltic Sea.
Oh well, that is actually a whole lot.
Thank you, sir. Let me finish. And also the Baltic Sea is also one of the largest brackish water sources in the world. And it's that means that it's a mixture of both fresh water and salt water, and this actually preserves most of the stuff that's at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. So that's why there's so many people that go out there looking for stuff. So this team is out there in June. It's June 19th, 2001. And they're up in the northern part of the Baltic Sea. And they're looking for buried treasures. These two guys, Peter Lindberg and Dennis Åsberg, that are out there looking for buried treasure. And while they're out there, they're using sonar trying to find buried shipwrecks that are down there. And these are two guys that are, these are not guys that are going to sites that other people have been to. These are two dudes that are trying to find like their own thing. They want to find their own shipwrecks, their own things for themselves. So they're trying to be like, they're trying to be like on the cutting edge of trying to find new stuff. And they're out there and their sonar equipment picks up this weird shape in the bottom of the ocean, almost like 80 meters, like about 80, 85 meters down, which is like, I think like 300 feet like down, which is pretty deep for the Baltic Sea. And
wait, are you talking about how deep the Baltic Sea Anomaly is? Because it's way deeper than that. I think it's like 240 feet down, something around there.
Yeah, it's like 300 feet. Yeah, 80 meters is like 300 feet.
Oh, I thought you said feet, not me. My bad. I'll just sit down and I will quiet up.
That's strike 3, sir.
Oh, come on.
You're out. Sit. And so, yeah, so they're out there and they find it and they find this shape. They see this shape with their sonar equipment. And if you've ever used sonar technology, it's hazy at best. It kind of gives you kind of a good image of what may be down there, but it kind of just gives you a rough guess. And they see essentially a Millennium Falcon shaped object.
Falconish.
Millennium Falcon shape. I mean, it's just we're gonna put up a photo so that you guys can see, so we can see what we're talking about. Yeah, it essentially looks like the Millennium Falcon. It's like 180 feet long and like 26 feet high. It's a big thing. Which, fun fact, by the way, the Millennium Falcon is 113 feet long. So this thing is like almost like twice the size of it.
Nerd.
I looked that up for this episode. I'm like, I wonder if it's actually bigger than the Millennium Falcon.
No, he just knew that off the top of his head. Don't let him lie to you.
Yeah. So this thing is huge. Okay, so 180 feet long is, think 4 semi-trailers. Like 4 semi-trucks long. That's how big this thing is. It's huge. And they see this thing down there, but they really can't get down there. They don't have the equipment to go down there yet. So what happens is they find it. It's really cool. Then they come back a year later. And actually at this point, then they try to do an expedition where they dive down there trying to find it. But the weird part is their like electronic equipment malfunctions while they're trying to get down there to it. And they can't. And then they realize that when the closer that they got to it, their crap starts cutting out. So it's super weird. And some of the weird stuff that's about it too is when they're looking on like the sonar image, like for the most part, a lot of people are thinking, oh, this is like some sort of a rock formation. Could it just be some sort of natural geological thing? But the more that they look at the images of it, the more that they realize there is just strange stuff about this stuff. Like one of the things that they can tell when they use sonar technology is they can tell like lines and stuff, and they start seeing that there's actually like some just straight, long lines on these things that don't look natural. Because like a normal like geological normal rock formation is not going to have like almost 180 degree, parallel lines going down it like that.
Okay, and this thing has some angular lines, some sharp corners. It really does not look like a natural occurring geological structure.
Okay.
Like, wasn't there compasses just spinning when they got close to it too?
Mm-hmm. And it's throwing all of their electronic equipment out of whack. So it's super confusing as to what actually is down there.
Yeah, in that road, it almost looks like a line from something crashing and sliding. I know that's kind of crazy sounding, but it really does look like that.
Yeah, when they get back and they actually like detail out like the images that they have found on there, there's the object itself. There's this long, flattish line that drags from behind it, and then there's kind of like this mountain face, this underwater mountain face that's split in the middle, literally leading straight to where this object is.
Kind of like something smashed through it,
or it's a path leading up to it.
Or it's a crashed UFO. 100% confirmed.
Dumb wouldn't say about that. Now, fun fact, did you know, Vic, that they actually sent a diver down to this?
No, I was not aware of that.
Yes. It was because when they come back and they want to learn more about this thing to find out what this thing actually is. And then they send a diver down there. Now, what a lot of people don't know about diving is you just can't dive straight down underwater after a certain amount. Like a certain amount, like when you dive too far deep down, um, the longer you spend down underwater, the longer it takes for you to get back up. Because you can end up getting something called the bends, like the chemical composition in your brain can start going out essentially out of whack. I'm not sure the science behind it is usually where you chime in for that, but
Yeah, this is getting into chemistry, not my strongest suit, but I know like the people who go diving looking for coelacanths, which just so you guys know, a lot of biologists die doing this. They have the same problem because they only have a small window of time to get to the area where coelacanths are, where there's only a few points in the year where you can actually dive in that area because the weather's so bad there and the tide's so bad there. So they have to descend very slow, and by the time they get down there, they're almost out of air. So after all this investment, I think it's like 10, 15 minutes of actual time they get looking for this black fish in pitch black water. And so many biologists have died just saying one more minute, because they run out of air before they can get back up because they have to ascend slowly. I want to say the bends has something to do with coming through the pressure systems too fast causes bubbles to form
in the bloodstream.
In your bloodstream.
Thank you.
I want to say that's how it works, but I don't know that well.
Yeah, it's clicking it now. So they're diving. Their diver, a guy by the name of Stefan Hogenborn, goes down there, and he can only spend about 10 minutes looking at the Baltic Sea Anomaly. Now, he is like 80 meters down. So he's like way down there, okay? And he has to spend, and he can only have about 10 minutes because the 10 minutes that he's down there is going to translate into 90 minutes for how long it's going to take him to safely resurface.
Oh man, it has to be so frustrating for people who are working in deep areas of the ocean.
Yeah. So like, I was so blown. I did not know that you only have so much time as a diver when you're that far down. And on top of that, it's almost to the point where it's almost pitch black down there. Mm-hmm. So he can only see about a meter in front of him. So he spends about 10 minutes down there, and he's trying to feel on the object itself. And he is saying that it kind of, when he turned to touch it, it turns black when he touches it. And it has kind of the consistency of like concrete or maybe sandstone when he's feeling on it. And something really weird that he finds down there is on the Baltic Sea Anomaly, there's this weird hole that's on it. And it's about 3 meters wide.
I was going to say, don't say yay big with your hands because
they
can't see you.
I'm not doing yay big with my hands. It's about 3 meters wide, but it's like this perfect oval shape with a box formation that's around it. Almost kind of like, it reminds me of like something that's being planted like in there. Like the hole's been cut out. There's a rock square. There's a square around it, and then you're gonna put something down there and then fill in the hole. It kind of has that kind of. It seems
like an insert for a tool.
Yeah, or a pole or something like that. It kind of looks like something like that, and it's very unnatural stuff. It just doesn't look normal, and so he picks up some rock samples and he brings them back up, and so now they have all this data. One of the things they do is they test these rock samples. And the rock samples they think are volcanic. Because one of the things that they found about them is that the crystals and how they're formed, it was likely formed with something that was very superheated, it was heated, and then super cooled before the crystals had time to like change or form in a certain way. So that's what that made them believe, that what it was volcanic. Which is weird, because it would say either A, there's volcanic activity in the Baltic Sea, which would be kind of game-changing for what we know about the Baltic Sea. Or 2, it means that it had to have been brought there from somewhere else. So, like, some people speculate that the rocks were put there by glaciers. Like, the glaciers moved them there, and that's how these rocks ended there. Because the Baltic Sea was formed by glaciers. So, that's why they think that maybe glaciers moved, like, as they were receding or moving into the air, they just deposited these volcanic rocks there from somewhere else. But, unfortunately, at the time, they didn't have tools in order to actually test what the actual Baltic Sea Anomaly actually is, because the equipment that they had for it wasn't to take like a sample of the thing itself.
Yeah, didn't they have to gather like rock samples from the surrounding area to test?
Yeah, that's where the volcanic rocks came from and stuff like that. So that's what they think like that. Like, it's not saying necessarily that these rocks in and of themselves are what the Baltic Sea Anomaly is made of, but these are the rocks that are in the general area of it.
So, quick question: when he says he touches it, it turns black. Does he mean like when he touches it, it's moving away the sediment, and he's seeing a black surface underneath, or does he mean literally it's like he touched it and boom, it turns black?
So that's kind of where I got confused, because there's a documentary that these guys put out. It's called the Mystery Beneath, and it's an hour long, and it's almost hot garbage. I'm sorry. Like, I wish that it was cooler than really what it is, but there's a couple diamonds in the rough of watching it. Okay.
Where would you rate? Is it grade A crap, grade B crap, grade C crap?
I give it a good solid C minus.
Oh, that's bad.
Okay, because keep in mind, it's a 55, 57 minute long documentary. They don't find the object until like 30 minutes in.
That's too much filler.
That is a lot of filler. Like, the whole documentary is them trying to create this weird, tense deal about them trying to find it. At one point, a Swedish ship shows up, and they try to think that for some reason this is some weird epic stare down for no reason. One of their cameras goes missing for some reason, and then they magically find it again. It was just weird. And they're talking to the diver. He's talking about, because when he's down there, he's touching it, and it's turning black. So I don't know if he is moving if he's moving the sediment like it's covered in sediment or algae or something that's down there.
Like, I almost wonder if this is some sort of lost in translation thing, like where he explained it in such a way that it would make perfect sense if you're, Swedish, but when you translate it over, it ends up being kind of what does it mean exactly?
Or it's like a chemical thing, like when his suit touches the thing. Like, it causes it to change color.
I want to know what the heck he's talking about there, because this could either be something where it's like, oh, it's just sediment on top and black underneath, or holy crud, how is it doing that?
Like, I think probably what it is I think this thing is probably crusted over. Like, if you've ever think about like a lot of underwater shipwrecks, one of the things they do when they bring them back up is get the sediment off the crap that's on there.
Yeah, that's what I'm really assuming he means, is that it's covered with like ocean sediment and stuff like that.
But unlike objects that I've seen before. I mean, I've watched tons of documentaries about like underwater, like, treasure salvage stuff and seeing all the sediment over it. It's got to be down there for a while for it to cover the whole thing, which this thing could have very well been down there for that long.
Yeah,
probably no. So they go out, and now they're trying to, and this is where it kind of gets kind of like scary. And they collect all this data, and they go out and they find all this stuff about all these rocks and stuff, and then they're set to go back. Okay, they're gonna try to get more funds and be like, oh cool, hey look, we found this really cool thing. The next thing that we need to do is maybe take a core sample of whatever this anomaly thing is, or be able to test it. We're gonna need more money. And then the media gets attention. The media chimes in.
I remember when this thing was first found. I remember this blowing up really big. Major news networks were covering it and things like that. And I really thought that this had a lot of potential for some serious stuff going down in the future.
Yes, they did. And then for some reason, the media turns on these guys. The media immediately turns on them and turns into these guys are just a bunch of hoaxers. These guys are trying to scam money out of people. There's, this is just a rock formation that's down there. That's just natural. There's nothing that's weird that's actually down there. Which, truthfully, none of these guys are saying anything about this thing being paranormal. Like, if you read what these guys are saying, they just said, we found this weird thing at the bottom of the ocean. Maybe we want to go back and see more of what it is. And then everybody literally just starts calling these guys con men when they haven't even tried a con.
Yeah, I don't remember them ever making any weird claims. And I do remember there being this sudden on-the-heel turn.
Yeah, now when
everyone turned against it.
Yeah, now when the community when we got our hands on it, we immediately jumped to the conclusion that this is some sort of crashed UFO that's sitting in the Baltic Sea. immediately that's what the community jumped on. That's what we did, and we're like, oh, this is what this has to be. This is some sort of thing that's come from the sky. That's in the water. Of course, that's what it's got to be.
Actually, truthfully, my actual theory is a little different.
Oh, mine too. Oh, mine too. Yeah. Oh, mine too.
But that is when I first saw it, that is the conclusion. I'm like, the heck is this a freaking UFO?
Oh, and I'm going to start this now. This is not a UFO, by the way. This is a USO.
It's assumed that it was a UFO before it was a USO. I think that is why people call it a UFO.
No. You can't assume something flew if you did not see it fly.
Okay, it is definitely submerged at this point. So yes, technically it is at this point a USO because it is a unidentified submerged object. But it kind of looks like it could be a UFO.
Is this Schrodinger's UFO? Like it could have flown, but it could also not have flown.
Most people are using UFO in the non-literal sense, as in this is a unknown flying saucer. What they should be saying is a flying saucer, not a UFO. And you're just getting caught up on the semantics of the whole thing.
No, I think what it does when you call it a UFO is you're putting the cart before the horse in this situation.
Marcus, we're speculating about a weird structure underwater. Yes, we are. We all have to agree. None of us know what it is. We're speculating.
I am the only person that I have seen that has called this thing a USO, which is what it is.
Because most people aren't too caught up on the verbiage people are, or the nounage.
Of course, I get caught up in the verbiage. That's the point. We need to. What it is. Okay.
It is. How about this? The unknown structure in the Baltic Sea that none of us know what it is. That might be UFO.
Sure. Okay, I'll go with that.
But yeah, and people probably should have said that this could be a crash flying saucer, maybe not necessarily UFO, but
yeah, but these guys,
whatever.
But as far as I saw, these guys were not. They weren't touting that. They weren't doing that. They were just said, we found this really weird thing. We want to go back and know more, and then all of their money dries up. Like almost overnight, they say. They can't find any sponsors for this thing. And it's
which is weird. They're like a fairly reputable company.
I know. Ocean X as a company are not a bunch of people that go out for hoaxers.
They don't need to.
They don't need to. Yeah, these are guys that are on the cutting. This is a company that is on the cutting edge of doing stuff. They're the people that discovered that have gotten us some of the first images of giant squids. These guys have shown us images of stuff under Antarctica that nobody has ever seen before.
They've discovered some species of sharks, haven't they?
Yeah, and underwater sea life. Okay, these are not people that need to hype up crap that's not real. So it's not really being fair to these guys who are not trying to do that. Now, what happens is they come out to the community, and I could throw scientists' names out, and they say it's X, they say this, they say it's that, it's whatever. But it's, all these scientists are trying to just saying it's from whatever the point of field. You have geologists that say, oh, this is a underwater, just natural formation.
Yeah, I did not find a single two scientists that had the same conclusion. Everyone had a wildly different conclusion. And so I think it was a metallurgist.
Yeah.
Said that this had to have been a man-made thing, and then another person's like, no, this is a natural structure, but we've never seen one appear like this before, and just all sorts of varying opinions. Like no one even close to a consensus.
It became, and I don't like throwing the word conspiracy out a lot, but it kind of became that to me. Like it was just overnight. These guys became these giant pariah, and everything dries up, so they can't go out and find more stuff. Like if you. I started a lot where most people started the research, Like I looked at the Wikipedia for it, okay? So I'm like, give me a framework of what to look at here. Like everybody does. And the Wikipedia even has Dennis's name spelled wrong. Like on their actual site. Yeah, like they call it Dennis they spell A-B-E-R-G, like Aberg. Like they misspell it on that. And then in the second paragraph, Wikipedia even just says, and scientists can just conclude this is just some sort of a rock formation.
Which technically it is a rock formation, but it's an extraordinary rock formation. They're using the words that they have as a weapon to discredit them.
Yeah, and it even just describes them as they say that. Oh, these guys are described as treasure hunters and stuff. I'm like, these guys are not described as anything. Like, this is what these guys are. Yep. Like, I don't understand. Like, how there was just this massive campaign to discredit these guys and just make them look like these bunch of just con artists.
Man, I'll tell you, someone said kill this story.
Yeah.
Someone did not like what was going on, and they said kill it.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact, did you know they got a new, they actually have a new documentary coming out this summer.
Yeah, I was thinking that we should review it for the podcast when it comes out.
And I do want to review, and we're going to review it for you guys because I want to see kind of, I've seen the trailer for it, and I want to see what kind of where they're going, and hopefully, it's better than the last one put out. Like, I don't think the information they put out was bad, but I just think it was just packaged badly.
Bad cinematography.
Yeah, just bad cinematography. Like, it was just packaged badly, but it was still just some good content that was there. But
so, who do you think tried to kill the story and why?
I don't know. Like, there's just so many things. Like, if I'm a scientist and I'm hearing that there is this massive underwater structure that's been found, my first thought is, oh, that's really cool. Maybe this is something of some sort of archaeological importance. I'm gonna go see what it was. Like for example, the Yonaguni monument. I know I mispronounced that too. The Yonaguni monument, we called it the Japanese Atlantis. For those of you that are patrons, you remember we talked about this in the last episode, like in our Pillow Talk segment, where it's this collection of underwater rock formations,
and they're pretty amazing.
Yeah, that are underwater, and it follows a very similar story. There are these divers that are off the coast of an island. They're looking for something else. They find something. And then here comes the rest of the scientific world down there to explore it. And there's all these wonderful photographs of it. And there's all these people still debating about it. Okay, about what it is. We have the exact same thing. There's these scientists that go out looking for something. Find stuff. And then immediately, the world goes, no, there's nothing there.
And truthfully, I think the Baltic Sea Anomaly is actually more impressive and more bizarre than the Onigumi structures.
Yeah, and there's more questions left. What is it? Like, there's more questions that have just left to be answered. And if I'm a scientist, that's where I want to go. I want to know what it is, what's down there, what could this be? But there's just no interest in this.
Man, I really want to know why this was killed, because it was killed before this got all that far. I mean, yeah, Ocean X is still working on this story. Like, they're still occasionally doing flyby scans of the area and stuff like that. They haven't forgotten about it. It's just, it's not been going real fast, and no one else is really trying to look into this, from what I can tell.
Yeah, there's no competitors or nobody else really trying to like throw their 2 cents in on what it is. Everybody just wrote it off.
Yeah, I definitely feel like someone said kill this story.
Yeah. So, I guess there's tons of speculation as to what it is. Because again, if we don't, without any information more about what it is, people just start speculating what it is. Obviously, we've already talked about it could be a UFO that crashed there, which could make sense. I mean, if you look at like the picture of how everything is drawn up, it actually kind of would make sense that there's this large structure, there's a trail behind it with a hole in a mountain. And a fun fact, I don't know if we've actually said this yet, when they've done more image scans of the area, did you know that not too far off from the Baltic Sea Anomaly there is another anomaly?
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah, with another trail leading behind it. Like, there's less information than we know about that. I'm wondering if we're going to see that in their new documentary that they're going to come out with.
As long as they cover it as thoroughly as they can. I understand that it is a hard area to research. It's very challenging to get down there and come back with facts. But I want them facts.
Yeah,
I want them.
I read an article the other day while I was researching for this that just said, "Oh, the other object is an anti-gravity machine."
Oh yeah. Just one of them anti-gravity machines that they're all over the ocean.
They just got left down there. But they never said what made them think that. They just said, "Oh yeah, it's an underwater." Underwater.
Here's what's going on. It's another bad translation. It's an elevator.
No, I gotta know. They're actually not directly. They're actually not Two, they're actually not just directly connected. One is the anti-gravity machine is underwater, and that's what pulled the Baltic Sea Anomaly down.
There you go.
It was it was flying along. The civilization that was there turned on the anti-gravity machine, pulled it straight into the ocean, caused it to crash.
Now, I still prefer it's a bad translation. It's actually just a set of sea rocks that make a staircase, and that's what they mean by anti-gravity machine. They mean it's a set of stairs. I know we're going to do our theories, but I think we're kind of late into this. Do we want to put our theories in the extent?
No, I got something else that I'm going to get into in the pillow talk. I think that our patrons are actually going to like. I want to make sure that that you guys get our actual like thoughts on this. But you go first. You go first. No, you go first. You go first.
Okay. Based on what I've been reading, keep in mind I'm not an expert on the ancient Baltic Sea, but there was a point, I think it was about 10,000 years ago, the Baltic Sea was likely not a sea. And humans were already in Europe by that point. I'm wondering if this is like some sort of massive monolith structure primitive humans built, and then maybe it got displaced in some way, or it just got, when the waters rose at the end of the ice age, it just got buried under the water. Like, I'm really wondering if this could just be like a ancient human monolith that has just been forgotten from time.
Okay, since you came up with what my original theory was.
Oh, is that what yours was too?
I'm gonna come up with a new theory. I got it. So everybody always, when they would talk about UFOs and they talk about aliens.
That's what you get for letting me go first.
I know, that is what I get for redoing this. So everybody, when they come up with UFOs or alien stories, they always talk about aliens being this sort of like higher intelligence, higher beings, high responsibility. These beings with a plan. They never talk about. They never do the irresponsible alien theory that the universe is infinite. There's infinite number of planets, so that means that there's probably an infinite number of possibilities. Then there are probably just aliens out there that are super irresponsible. Maybe what this was some alien teenagers that took mom and dad's spaceship, went for a joyride, accidentally crashed into Earth, and dropped it in the Baltic Sea. And they were like, "Oh crap, cheese it."
It's just total. Don't go back for it.
And it's just left down there, and they're just like, we're not going to talk. We're not going to tell my dad. We can't tell him that.
Okay. Do you know if there's a hole, at least in my theory?
Where's the hole in your theory?
Yeah. Do you know if there was a big hole? And you said that was your original theory too.
Mm-hmm.
Why would someone need to kill that story if it's just from an ancient monolith created by man? Why would there be a need to kill that story? Why would there be a need to hush it up?
I think when you control the history or the narrative of a history, there's a lot of control there. There's a lot of power there when you control that narrative. And I think that if something were to come up that would change that narrative or shift that narrative, I think that might become a threat to some people.
Like, I have always theorized that there are these ancient peoples that lived like very close to the shore, and for the most part their societies were wiped out at the end of the last ice age when the sea levels rose, and we just have lost these civilizations. And probably if we knew about them, it would push like the beginning of civilization much further back. But like, this is just a weird monolith in the. If we're right, this would just be a weird monolith in the middle of the Baltic Ocean. I don't know why this would be so hugely ground shaking, unless it was somehow could be traced back to some greater story.
Yeah, like that would have to mean that there is a civilization or a culture that is there that they do not want us to know about. Like, for example, say maybe there is a more advanced civilization. We touched on this on the other episodes that our governments are aware of, that they do not want us to know about.
You know, Marcus, you should be proud of me. I did not mention extra dimensions or like window areas at all this episode.
Well, I can do that because it's considered to be one of the possible like portal to hell.
Really? I didn't know
you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that part.
Oh yeah. That was in the documentary. They talk about that.
No, I did not know about
People were sending them stuff that this thing might actually be like just some sort of like gateway to hell. Or just some sort of internet. Or if they even touched it, that it would explode.
Okay, here's what it is. You know that weird circle with the square inside it? Mm-hmm. That's for like a screwdriver, and you unlock it, and that opens the gate.
Oh, a piece of information. 'Cause I know we're going a little long, but I think this might actually be some important information. Why I think this could probably be more likely to be man-made than extraterrestrial. One of the things that they had to do before they went down there, when they got samples, was that they had to check the rock samples to see if it was radioactive. And they are not. Because they had to see whether or not it would be safe for their diver to go down there. So they actually pulled samples up to rocks down there to see if it would be radioactive. And there was nothing down there that was radioactive.
Well, at the same time, if it was say a UFO, and we know like a lot of UFOs in the past have irradiated the areas where they were, we could just be past the half-life. It could have been down there for long enough that it's just expired.
It could have, but I think it was important to say.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
How the heck was there a portal to hell in this episode and we not mentioned till the very end?
Oh, because you're more interested in those than I am.
I am very interested in those
than I am. I was more interested in this idea of it being this Neolithic monument or something like that, or possibly just some sort of irresponsible teenager's crashed vehicle. But
okay, one of these days we're having a portal to hell episode.
I think that's good. That's fair. This was my idea to do this episode, so I think that's fair. But I would really be interested to see what you guys think. Make sure you guys put your guys' comments down below. Post your theories. If you guys do that, we'll try to talk about them in a future episode. If you guys put those down there.
And for our extended segment, we're going to be talking about some of our personal paranormal experiences involving shadow people.
We did. There are some interesting stories to tell with that. But until next time, guys, keep believing.
Because we'll keep listening. Wait. So Marcus,
okay,
he was teasing me about there being this paranormal encounter he had, and he's wanting to talk about it on here. And I'm like, dude, don't even tell me yet. Yeah. Just tell me on the podcast, so guys, I'm hearing this at the same time you guys are.
So again, if you guys want to hear this, the rest of the story, make sure that you guys go over to our Patreon. And sign up for even just lows of $1 a month. You guys can get access to the entire Pillow Talk segments as well as some other videos. But, okay, getting into it. So, I don't know. I can't remember which episode. It was a couple weeks ago. I can't remember why I didn't tell you this. I want to say it may have been the Rendlesham Forest UFO one, or may have been the one before that. But I'm driving. It was really late, and it was nighttime by the time that I was getting home. And I'm driving back, and my house isn't too far from Vic's. We're about 5-7 minutes away from each other.
Yeah, we intentionally bought houses near each other because we're cool like that.
And I pull in, and as I'm pulling off the main street, and I'm pulling around, and I have to go around this turn. And I'm going around it. There was a house there, and on the house it's a vacant house because there's a for sale sign out in front of it. And as I'm driving past it, some of the lights from the other houses are illuminating the front yard, and I see